today is Wednesday, June 15th, 2022. So I have 10 more days to go before my monthly salary payday. Today we're going to learn about the financial transaction, especially credit card transaction process, how it is operated. Here we go. FIS article, How Credit Card Processing Works, January 25th, 2022. The steps of credit and debit card payments processing explained. Business owners and managers tend to also be savvy consumers. That's understandable since you routinely evaluate the many products and services needed to keep your business running smoothly. Accepting credit cards enables you to get paid. That means you will need to select a credit card processing company. Credit card processors are important partners beyond the core service of processing payments, making it a critical business decision. You don't need to become an expert, but you will be a better consumer if you know how credit card processing works. To understand how payments processing works, we'll look at the actors and their roles. Who are the actors in a credit card, debit card transactions? A cardholder obtains a credit or debit card from an issuing bank, uses the account to pay for goods and services. Cardholder issuing bank. A merchant is any type of business that accepts card payments in exchange for goods and services. A merchant bank establishes and maintains merchant accounts. Merchant banks allow merchants to accept deposits from credit and debit card payments. Merchant banks allow merchants to accept deposits from credit and debit card payments. Merchant bank. Payment processors are companies that process credit and debit card transactions. Payment processors connect merchants, merchant banks, and card networks and others to make card payments possible. Payment processors. Issuing banks are the banks, credit unions, and other financial institutions that issue debit and credit cards to cardholders through the card associations. Cardholder issuing banks. So BC Card, Samsung, Visa, or other banks, Gwangju Bank, and the financial institutions are issuing banks. I like a Gwangju Bank. Card associations include Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and American Express. So they are card associations. The card associations set interchange rates and qualification guidelines and act as the arbiter between issuing banks and acquiring banks, among other vital functions. Issuing banks and acquiring banks. Card associations. Issuing banks. Issuing banks is the Gwangju Bank or NH Bank in Korea. Card associations, BC Card, Samsung Card, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, Americans. The card associations set interchange rates and qualification guidelines and act as the arbiter between issuing banks and acquiring banks, among other vital functions. What does credit card processing look like in motion? 안녕하세요. Credit card processing works in three distinct processes: authorization, settlement, and funding. First, let's look at credit card and debit card authorization process. 1. The cardholder presents their card, swipe, tap, insert, or other secure method, that is contactless or by entering number for online credit card payment to a merchant in exchange for goods and services. The request might originate from a credit card terminal or point of sale system. Credit card terminal. A credit card terminal. Sorry, there was a colleague coming or passing by me, so I just lowered my voice not to disturb him. In Korea, we need to speak Korean, not English, so I'm very cautious about using English at my office. The request might originate from a credit card terminal or point of sale system. In brick and mortar store, an e-commerce website gateway, through mobile or in-app payment acceptance. In a brick and mortar store, an e-commerce website gateway, e-commerce website gateway, through mobile or in-app payment acceptance. The merchant sends a request for payment authorization to their payment processor. The payment processor submits transactions to the appropriate card association, eventually reaching the issuing bank. The authorization requests are made to the issuing bank, including parameters like a CVV, AVS, validation, and expiration date. The issuing bank approves or declines the transaction. Transactions can be declined for insufficient funds or available credit if the cardholder's account has been closed or expired, if a payment is past due, or other factors. If a payment is past due, the issuing bank then sends the approval or denial status back along the line to the card association merchant bank and finally to the merchant card association merchant issuing bank. That's the credit card authorization process in a nutshell. The card authorization process takes only a matter of seconds. Now, let's look at the credit card settlement and funding process. This part is essentially how the merchant gets paid from the credit cards they accept. Merchants send batches of authorized transactions to their payment processor. The payment processor passes transaction details to the card association that communicate the appropriate debits with the issuing banks in their network. 3. The issuing bank charges the cardholder's account for the amount of the transactions. The issuing bank then transfers appropriate funds for the transactions to the merchant bank minus interchange fees. The issuing bank then transfers appropriate funds for the transactions to the merchant bank minus interchange fees. Merchant bank. The merchant bank deposits funds into the merchant account. The settlement and funding process that used to take days are now almost always handled overnight, helping merchants get paid quickly. In Korea, maybe 1 second. That's the simplified credit card payment process. To learn even more about how credit card processing works, connect with one of our payments experts. We are happy to answer your questions and walk you through the easy setup. So we learned issuing bank, the merchant bank, a card associations, a payment processor, a credit card terminal, point of sale, e-commerce website gateway. an e-commerce website gateway, a credit card terminal point of sale, swipe tap insert, swipe tap insert, credit card payments, issuing the line through the line, issuing bank, payment processor, authorization, settlement, and funding. Authorization, settlement, and funding. Payment processors, cardholders. It's a very, in a nutshell. It's summarized in a nutshell. What is the process of credit card transactions? Oops, this IP address has been blocked due to many requests. Editorial note, we earn a commission from partner links on Forbes Advisor. Commissions do not affect our editors' opinions or evaluations. What is card merchant acquiring bank, issuing bank, card network? Card network, that is, for example, Visa, MasterCard, acts as a liaison between the acquiring and issuing banks. It sends information back and forth and sets any fees or guidelines among the acquiring bank, issuing bank, and the merchant. Authorization. Settlement. Why do you need to know about credit card processing? Bottom line, okay, credit cards offer convenience to cardholders, which makes up much of their appeal. But while on the customer's end, the transaction is quick and simple, the back-end communication between the merchant and other parties is intricate and complicated. Within the few seconds it takes for a cardholder to swipe a card and sign a receipt, a trove of information is passed among the merchant, acquiring bank, and card network and issuing bank to approve the card details and purchase securely. Cardholders aren't required to know how it all works, but it's helpful to understand why merchants may set purchase guidelines for customers in their stores or online. Let's go back and find out the issuing bank, card network. Acquiring bank, the acquiring bank or merchant bank sends the card and transaction information to the card network. An acquiring bank may also provide the merchant with equipment to handle credit cards as well as a merchant account to receive funds. That's merchant bank, like a MG. Okay. Thanks for listening.